Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here.
Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel, Candice de Visser.
Wait, what did you say?
Candice de Visser.
Have a good one. You guys better subscribe and watch my friend on his YouTube channel. He is kicking ass.
Dahmer and Bundy and Gacy, they're just the ones that got all the press. We house the ones that you whisper about around the campfire.
Let's give the boys a tour of their new playground.
It looks like a killer scene tonight here at the Macon County Funhouse. We may need crowd control.
That is right, Dr. Dave. People are literally losing their heads to get in here tonight.
Not scared.
Uh-oh, folks.
Oh, that looks so real.
Another one's hot.
This place is too scary for me. Besides, only white people like this.
I'm amazed at how desensitized you all are. You truly are sick individuals.
Let me guess, your friend's been murdered at the Funhouse. Wow, that was actually pretty realistic.
I think it's time for our final act.
They locked us in! What's going on here? That would be a good time to run.
I hate Halloween.
Are you crazy? Do you know what's happening out there?
Oh, you mean the deranged serial killers who are pretending to be haunted house characters and killing everybody?
These games look so fun.
Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you another horror movie review. This time we'll be talking about the Funhouse Massacre, which was directed by Andy Palmer and stars Robert Englund, Jere Burns, Scottie Thompson, Matt Angel, Clint Howard, Courtney Gaines, as well as Candice de Visser and Michael Eric Reid.
These monsters, even God is afraid of.
No way you live, no way.
Yeah. Okay. You are so bad at this.
Miss, are you dead?
So yeah, just check this movie out. I'd actually already ordered it on Blu-ray off of Amazon. You guys should do the same if you haven't. And that pretty much just gives away my whole review. Yes, I really dug this movie. I thought it was a really, really cool ass time. I'll just say I watched, if you guys look at my channel, you'll see the most recent reviews I've done. But I watched a horror movie recently I wasn't very pleased with, and this got the bad taste out of my mouth. Or at least it made me excited about the genre again. Not that I'm not anyway, but you know what I mean. But yeah, the Funhouse Massacre, I just had a really good time with this movie. And of course it's about, it starts with Robert Englund, who's a warden at this asylum, which houses, you know, some of these really deadly killers that don't make the headlines because, you know, they're like, you know, they're too brutal or too just out there to talk about. to the general public and everything. Of course, they end up breaking out, and then they end up sort of taking over and terrorizing this, funhouse, carnival, Halloween type of thing that's going on. And that's pretty much the premise. I mean, simple, straightforward, which some people would see as a, con or a complaint. But when a movie is simple or straightforward and it nails it, for what it's going for, it's not really a bad thing. And that's what the Funhouse Massacre does. And, before I get into the killers, who are the real stars of the show, I also, of course, have to mention, Robert Englund himself, Freddy Krueger, absolute icon of the genre. Had the pleasure to meet him in 2017. Really, really nice guy. And, he's not in this movie a ton, I'll say that. But when he is, he's just playing, this warden or sort of like main, doctor type of character of the facility. And, he does well enough there, and he's definitely a good presence. I'd say Freddy Krueger is a pretty good stamp, of approval to have on your horror film. And I also wanted to mention the special effects guy for this movie, Robert Kurtzman, who's been doing, special effects work since the 1980s, all the way back to, Dream Warriors, as well as, Nightmare 5, Halloween 5. And he just has, almost endless, filmography. He did work on the original Tremors, Misery, some of the Pumpkinhead films, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I could read through this whole thing. I mean, it's pretty incredible how this guy is on this. But yeah, I could pretty much talk about each of these movies that he's done, but that's another credit, to this movie. But yeah, of course, the real stars of the show again are the killers themselves, and I gotta say, just right off the bat, my absolute favorite of the entire film was definitely Candice de Visser as Dollface, also called Miss Eileen Quinn, and she's, Stitches and everything like that. She was just perfect in this movie, and you can also see her next to Robert Englund there as well. But yeah, she is just perfect next to, she is just perfect in this movie, Yeah, you can compare her to Harley Quinn, but sometimes I felt like she took herself a little bit more seriously in a way. She sort of relished the pure violence of it a little bit more than how Harley is presented in some mediums. And it's not like, a copy-paste thing either. She definitely feels like her own thing. And I really wish people would give more credit to Candice de Visser for her performance in this. Because, just her mannerisms, her expressions, the way she would move as the character, it felt like, an icon or like a natural, stepping into another type of role like that. And, I'll be damned if we don't see, much more of her in the genre. I really hope she does. I know she's going to be in Camp Coldbrook with Danielle Harris coming up, which is cool. But yeah, she's just played a great role. And her as a killer, Dollface, she's one of my favorites I've seen in a horror movie in quite a while in recent memory. She's just very cool, had a lot of personality. Then he also had Jere Burns as Mental Manny, or Manny the Prophet, however you want to address him. Of course, he's been in a lot of films. He's known for his TV roles as well, like Justified, Burn Notice. He had a kind of a recurring smaller role in Breaking Bad, and he has tons of things over the years. I really wish he would do more horror movie roles as well, and he's pretty good here. He's sort of like the ringleader, sort of the one that's orchestrated everything, so he's good there. And then you have, before we get to our regular characters, you also had Rocco, who's sort of like the main one you'll see on the covers. I just sort of switched around the cover on the Blu-ray, but if you open it up here, you'll see him on the actual disc, and then you take the disc out, you got him there. And he definitely stands out. He's like almost 7 feet tall, and he's like Bane-like strength and everything like that. So he's definitely the most immediately imposing of the group. And again, I like that cover fine enough, but I just think this one's pretty cool, so I had to switch it around. But yeah. So he was good. Then you have Animal the Cannibal, who was a lot of fun as well. Of course, he is more of like a chef, not quite Hannibal Lecter level, but he was entertaining nonetheless. I actually kind of wanted more of him. And then he sort of had like a twisted dentist kind of character, and you know, a couple others as well, like a taxidermist and stuff like that. You know, which were fine, but those are definitely my favorite killers of the movie. And I swear the guy who played Animal here was in an episode Drake and Josh, I think in the wedding episode, when they got stuck on the road. So it's kind of funny to see him pop up here. But yeah, anyway. But as far as our regular characters, you also had Scottie Thompson as Sheriff Kate, who I recognize from the TV show Graceland. And then you also had Deputy Doyle, played by Ben Begley, who is definitely a big, you know, comic relief of the movie. Even though this movie is kind of a horror comedy, you know, still, you know, he is just very well-mannered and, you know, sort of airhead, or, you know, just whatever you want to call him. But you know, kind of optimistic to a fault, really, or sort of ignorant, I guess. I don't know. But he was just a lot of fun in the movie as well. A little obvious, a little bit on the nose with some of the humor from him sometimes, but I still thought he worked for the most part. And you know, I thought he and Scottie Thompson sort of had a good, you know, kind of back and forth chemistry, I guess. And then you had you know, Matt Angel as Morgan, who kind of starts off as our initial protagonist, really. You know, it's more like an ensemble as far as these characters go, but you know, he's just sort of trying to bond with this girl named Lori. At the beginning of the film, you also have their friends. I forget their names off the top of my head, actually, but they were played well for what they were as well. You know, sort of like fodder for the killers, as you know, a couple of them were when you see it immediately, but still, it was established quickly enough what was going on there. And again, I got to just emphasize Dollface. You know, Candice, she was just perfect in this role, and I'm definitely going to be buying one of those shirts from Terror Threads. You know, those look great, and as soon as they released apparel for it, I just jumped on buying this. I knew I had to see it as soon as possible, and I'm so glad I did, because it's one of my favorite horror flicks I've watched in a while. Most of the comedy works, you know, here and there it doesn't quite hit, but really it's the overall feel of the movie just really worked for me in the end. And I also really enjoyed the ending. At first it felt like it was going kind of a cliche, you know, kind of book closing route, and I was a little bit bugged by it, but there's a couple credit scenes. You know, there's one sort of pretty quickly midway through the credits, and there's one right at the end that you'll want to watch. And those kind of tied it up nicely for me as well and made it a little bit more memorable. And yeah, so overall, I'd have to rate the Funhouse Massacre a B+. I really enjoyed it, and when I watch it again, which I will, it could end up going to like an A- or an A, who knows. I just had a good time with it, and I could definitely see it being a very memorable sort of cult favorite type of film at some point for sure. And I'd really like some kind of sequel to it, especially with spoilers. Stop the video now if you haven't seen it, because I've already given my rating and everything. But I'd love to see a Dollface spin-off with Rocco. That'd be awesome. Just called, you know, Funhouse Dollface and Rocco, or the Adventures of Dollface and Rocco, or Bloody whatever. I don't know. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And like I said, I keep on praising Candice de Visser's work in this movie, and I just think she deserves sort of more time with this character. But, you know, it sort of brings me to my issues I did have with the film slightly. I wish there was just more time spent with the killers. I think sometimes it focused too much on regular characters. I wish it was more from some of the killers' perspectives. Like even Dollface, I think she was kind of undercut with the time she had, and Rocco got a decent amount, but I feel like we didn't see enough of Mental Manny, and especially some of the others like Animal and the dentist and everything. I don't think we... And some of the killers' deaths, it felt a little bit anticlimactic. It felt a little bit quick for what kind of people they were built up as, some of them anyway. But overall, still a great time. I definitely recommend seeing it if you haven't. It's definitely worth buying on Amazon. It's like $13. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys thought about it. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.